let's go back to your consulting days. What would you say are some of the big lessons you've learned, maybe one or two, in terms of leading engagements, leading clients, things that really stood out for you that you still kind of remember to this day and try and practice to this day?
Yeah. So, as a consultant, you're a hired gun, right? And I have a friend that says, has this great expression that you're kind of all badge, no bullets, because, you're an outsider into the organization and there's no one that reports directly to you within the organization. You actually don't have any decision rights for the most part. I mean, there's some rare occasions where you might be seconded or something. And so it's all about influence. And, one of the things that I think really great consultants do is they're good at affecting change through influence. And there's a really kind of neat paradigm in the consulting track, which is when you're new, when you're fresh out of undergrad or you're fresh out of business school, your work is almost solely analytical. You're building a fact base, you're understanding the problem, you're thinking about how to structure whatever solution it is that you're working on. And as you progress, your career becomes more about personal relationships in more of like the EQ than the IQ type stuff. And how do you really understand kind of the leadership journey that your clients are on and what's motivating them or demotivating them? What are the things that they're worried about? What are the things that they care about? What are the things they don't care about? And how is your role as a consultant in the particular problem you're solving going to affect not just their organization, but them personally? And so, when you're young in your career, it's all about being the best analyst, problem solver, problem structurer. And that is one particular skill set. And oftentimes people say the things that make a great analyst are not the same things that make a great partner. And so you have to transition and grow as a person in what you do. And then your work becomes much, much bigger, right? So when I left consulting, I was managing multiple projects at multiple clients at a time where I may be there a day a week. And also the team is there 4 days a week. So I have to be able to come in quickly, come up to speed, make sure that they're kind of evolving the problem and making headway, and they're meeting a certain bar in terms of deliverables and expectations, but do that in a very narrow window. And then I have to pivot and manage the relationships with clients, and what are they thinking and feeling, and how am I pre-wiring, and how am I thinking about influence, and is it kind of direct and in your face, or is it something with maybe a lighter touch? And you have to do all that very quickly. And so it's one of the exciting things about consulting is that your career kind of shifts, and it shifts very fast, because maybe 2-3 years out of undergrad or out of grad school, you're now in this more managing clients, managing multiple projects. And it is when people say that there's like a tremendous learning curve in the consulting world, a lot of what they're talking about is, you have a lot of responsibility in managing projects, but your career progresses faster in thinking about how you manage the people aspect of getting really great work done.
This is a totally unfair question, Rob, but how did you get better at that? What were the things that you either started to do that helps you make that transition? Because I think while this absolutely is true in consulting, I see it true with some of my clients that are like regional vice presidents or group vice presidents, where they've got a region, right? They've got to be able to come in quickly, work with that branch or that team, but then they also have maybe major customers and clients that they also need to interface with. And the next week, it's another set. So they've got to be able to do all that, like you said, very efficiently and effectively.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's the kind of first order things, which is you have to be good at time management and attention to detail and objectives driven. I think when it comes to working in a team and this is a little bit of the sausage making, but the more you're on the same page and the more clear you are in how you communicate and what the objective is and what you're focused on. So I know like this may sound super, super basic to a lot of folks, but we would have problem solving sessions, which is this time that, I come in and as an junior partner or partner and working with the team, that session has been set up by someone on my team, and there's a particular flow and structure to that. Today, we're going to focus on this in the agenda. What I need you to make decisions on is X, Y, and Z. Where I have a question that I'm not clear on and I really need your expertise and insight is A, B, and C. And so there's this shorthand language because we're all working in the same communication style, in the same structure. And I was at a dinner last night, and I was trying to explain this to someone. It's like, when you go, like very early on at McKinsey, I remember getting this email. Like I had sent an email out and I got this email back and said, hey, I can tell you didn't come up through the firm, which was basically a very nice way of saying this isn't acceptable. And it was because I didn't have a lot of structure in the communication I'd written. And so, you hear about like case examples in the interview process, and that's really not about seeing how smart you are. You wouldn't have gotten to the interview if you weren't smart. It's about how your brain works and how structured, and everything is structured. The way you get out of bed is structured. The way you eat breakfast is structured. The way you approach problems is structured. And it is that structure, it's that shorthand that we all use. And I think of it like, lawyers that take the LSAT, and the reason that like you need to take the LSAT is because logic is paramount. And so for us, the shorthand is logic. And one of my big lessons early on is like I see a lot of organizations that waste a lot of time on things that are not actually in pursuit of the objective or building a better team, or are just plain inefficient because they were never clear on the objective and they were never clear in the shorthand and the communication. And whether that comes up into team building or not, like it or just how you think about your day in the organization is paramount. I think the other thing that really helped me is you got to have great mentors, and you got to be in a place where feedback is a gift, and you have to look at it that way. And so, the way that you improve, whether you're an athlete or a corporate athlete, is by kind of measuring and being like working on very specific things. But in athlete, if I'm an athlete and I'm running the 40-yard dash or swimming a race or something, I have a coach all the time. In the professional world, you don't always have that. And so like you get this structure of feedback in consulting, whether it's at the end of meetings or the end of projects, like the cycle was much faster. And then you have what I call sponsors and you have mentors, and there's a difference between those things. But that bond with your mentor to give you feedback is paramount. And so like now when I've come in to the call it the non-consulting world, I've brought a lot of the rhythms and behaviors around people management that I use to be successful in running teams and big projects and how I give feedback, because the faster my guys come up to speed and are able to operate, above their level, quite frankly, the easier my job is. The more time I have to do the things I want to do because I need to manage them less.